Bromhidrosis is having that nasty smell coming from your body. It can be from your armpits, it can be from the groin, it can be just some areas like around the nipple of your breast. So we're going to learn about how they usually come by and how you can be able to fix that either permanently or maybe temporarily, or you just want to have quick results. There's some things you can do. We're going to cover that in this video. Also, do you see that smell that usually comes from the baby when they're still very young? That baby smell that can be nostalgic at times. The smell is coming from the same glands that usually make you have bromhidrosis. Now, let's have the disorders that usually come as a result of sweating. We have the first one, which is hyperhidrosis, and this one is when you have excessive sweating. Can be that there is a very tiny trigger, that some warmth or something, maybe you just taken shower and then all of a sudden you're drenched in sweat. And also it can be that there was no trigger at all, so you just started sweating and it's a disorder. It can be fixed. We're going to talk about it in a future video because I think we need to have more information on how we can be able to fix that one, in as much as we've had a conversation around it scantily. We also have another condition that we call hyperhidrosis. This one is the opposite of this one. Now you are not sweating, even if you are cooking under the sun or maybe in a place which is humid and hot, you cannot sweat even a single drop. So that's also a disorder, and it's not much of a concern, by the way, but it's something worth looking into. I think we're also going to cover that, but we're going to cover that in a video where we're also going to cover hyperhidrosis. Now we have bromhidrosis. This is when you have glands, other type of glands apart from eccrine. You're going to see the difference between them in a few seconds. And then they produce some sweat that comes through the surface of your skin and make you smell. You're going to see the reason for that in a few seconds. We also have Miliaria. This one is when you're sweating, yes, you have glands, they sweat, they can be triggered to produce sweat, but the channels leading to the outside of your skin, they are blocked, meaning that the water will just accumulate under the glands and they bulge, and sometimes they can burst and give you some blisters here and there. Now let's go to how you sweat, because basically that's where you get the smell. The first thing you have to know, we have two types of glands. We have eccrine and we have apocrine. They're different. Eccrine usually contribute to homeostatic functions when it comes to the body. This is maintaining optimal environment for the function of everything else in the body, and this is where temperature comes in. When the temperature is high, the body releases water, forces water to go out of the body through the skin, and that's where now the water comes to the surface of your skin, and evaporation will be what will cool you down. Because if you remember from chemistry, when we are changing from liquid to vapor, you require energy. Now this energy will come in form of heat, which is what is being radiated from your body, and this is the reason you cool down after sweating. It's a homeostatic function. So eccrine glands, they're not that troublesome unless we are talking about hyperhidrosis. But what usually happens here is they produce sweat. Now the sweat from eccrine, you don't actually have to worry about it because 99.9999% of it will be water. So after evaporation, you don't have as much of the smell that is left behind. But let's go to the culprit, which is apocrine. This one, they are strategic in some areas like your groin, under the armpits, we have around the ear, and also around the breasts, we have areola. This one is a special kind of a gland because it produces, in addition to the sweat, we have amino acids that will come, let's just call them proteins, and also we have lipids. This concoction will come to the skin surface, and guess what will happen? It's going to find bacteria on the skin that will break down the lipids that you have there, the amino acids that you have in the proteins, and this is where you're going to find some compounds which are smelling funny, ammonia, sometimes can be sulfur-ish. So this is where you get the smell from. And something interesting you need to know about apocrine glands is the proteins can be unique to individuals. So you can find that the smell that you're giving out is not similar to what I'm getting or I'm giving out. And these are the glands that usually give the baby that characteristic smell that usually come from the apocrine glands. They have them, they're born with them, but as they grow up, they become kind of deactivated, and then they become reactivated later when they get to puberty. And this is when you find that when you get to puberty, you start getting distinct smells, especially if you take some few days without showering. You know what I'm talking about. I was in high school, so I remember this quite clearly. Anyway, back to why do we have this? Something very interesting, by the way. This is the time when they are becoming sexually active after puberty, and there is a speculation that there is a relationship between the smell, the olfactory messaging. You know, we have animals that usually speak through the smell, so we are animals, so we speculate that it has something to do with sexual messaging. and kind of explain the reason why you start getting strong body odor once you get to puberty. Now that you have all that information, let's go to the interesting part, which is fixing the situation. I have categorized this into 3. We have 1, fixing the sweating itself. Either you stop it or maybe you inhibit. You also have the second one, which is inhibiting the activity of the bacteria, thereby getting rid of the bacteria or just inhibiting the activity. And we have masking, which is number 3, and that's where deodorants comes in. Let's just roll back into now stopping the sweating or just fixing the sweating or anything that would just target the sweating. In this category, we have several things. The first one, which can be antiperspirants. I know you know this one. We also have others like Rexona. We have there's so many. So if you look at the ingredients at the back here, you'll find that in all of them you're going to find aluminium salt, so just Ivy salt somewhere. What it does, it prevents you from sweating. If you don't sweat, what will happen? You don't have anything that bacteria will break down on the skin surface, so you're not going to smell as much. Now this is short-lived. If you look here, they're indicating 48 hours, so once the effects wear off, you're back to sweating. Now let's go to the second one, which is Botox. I don't want to say it's a little bit more aggressive, but this in comparison to something like using antiperspirants, yeah, I agree, it's a little bit more aggressive. Now, this is where we have a bacteria that we call botulinum. We have toxins that are usually removed from it. They interfere with the nervous system, the signaling of the nerves. So what they do, they just inject the toxin into the area where you sweat, where you get the smell, like under the armpits. And once they do that, the signaling will not get to the glands that usually produce the sweat, meaning that the message is lost in between. Yes, the central nervous system is sending signal to induce sweating, and you cannot sweat because the signal is not getting to the intended area. That's the function of botulinum here. Now, the effects of this usually wear off with time, meaning that you'll have to go back after some time to have a boost of the same. So they just inject to increase the effectiveness of the same, because over time the toxins will just go away, and once they go away, you are back to smelling. And by the way, Botox can also be used in treating hyperhidrosis, which is sweating excessively. You're going to see that in the future videos, so get subscribed also. We also have another method still in stopping you from sweating, which is liposuction. I know you know liposuction from when you want to remove fat from the body. It's the same procedure, but this one will target removing the sweat glands. So they are removed using the same procedure. And by doing this, several things will happen. One, removing the actual glands that produces the sweat. 2, might damage some nerves here and there. Now, the con, okay, it's going to fix the situation. But the con here is, over time, the nerves can repair themselves. In as much as it usually take a little bit longer for the nerves to repair themselves, so it can take a little bit longer. But they're going to repair themselves eventually, and you'll be back to sweating. Also, you cannot be able to target all the sweat glands using this method, so some of them will be left. And in as much as it's going to be a little bit more faint because you don't have as much of the glands there, it still counts, so you might still smell even after the procedure. We have surgical methods whereby your doctor will remove individual glands, either through incision or using other methods which are a little bit more modern. We also have microwaving, so they are burnt off, or a coagulation by using electrical methods. There we have several methods when it comes to this, but let's go to now interrupting the activity of the bacteria, which is the second category. In this one, you can do 3 things. You can directly kill the bacteria, or you just inhibit the growth of the bacteria, or you inhibit the activities by making a very unconducive environment for anything or any activity of breaking down whatever is coming out in sweat. Let's go to particulars. The first one, Dettol. We also have other antiseptics that you can use on your skin. It's not highly recommended because you also don't want to kill the normal flora on your skin surface, because if you do this, you might end up having colonization by other strains of bacteria. There is a symbiotic relationship between you and the bacteria on the skin. So unless it's very necessary, I usually discourage the use of antiseptics on your skin unless it's extremely necessary. So what they do is they kill the bacteria. You completely remove them. And by doing so, what you're doing here is, yes, you're going to sweat, but there will be nothing that will break down whatever is in that sweat. You can also just inhibit the growth by using something like an acid. You apply an acid. You remember when we were talking about put lemon and Vaseline. I don't have one close to me. So this is an acid. Inside here we have two things. One is an acid, which is citric acid. This is what will just inhibit the action of the bacteria by making it very unfavorable for them to just multiply or even to have any activity. So you apply lemon water there and you're going to benefit from citric acid and also vitamin C, which will lighten the skin. And maybe you can just apply a petroleum jelly, something like Vaseline, to keep the hole or whatever is going on here a little bit longer. So this video is not sponsored at all, so anything I'm mentioning here is because of something that I've tried in the past and it has worked. So you apply this, then Vaseline or whatever petroleum jelly you use, and it works. You are inhibiting the growth of the bacteria because they don't like acidic pH, and also you are inhibiting the action of the breakdown of whatever they are breaking down, if it's lipids or protein. So once you do that, and by the way, this is quick acting, you just apply this, within seconds the odor is gone. We also have alcohol. Alcohol kills bacteria. This is 70%. You can use a smaller one that has a sprayer. You just play under your armpits. Can be aggressive. You can also, after that, apply just petroleum jelly to make it a bit good, but it works. Alcohol works by inhibiting or even killing the bacteria itself, so you reduce the number. We have other things like glycolic acid. This one mostly is used for exfoliation. You're doing two things. One, you are exfoliating your skin, and also you're inhibiting the action of the bacteria on the skin. So yeah, you can use glycolic acid. That is if you want to also benefit from the exfoliation of the skin. And another thing which I don't want to forget here, very important, you see the soap that you're using, change it. Now I'll give you personal experience. There is a soap, I don't want to mention the name, it starts with a G. I used to use it, and even right now if I start using it, I'll take only 2 weeks for me to start smelling. Even after shower, just a few minutes after shower, you are smelling nasty. Now this is what I did. I switched to, remember, this is not an advert, by the way. I'm just plugging you to what I did and actually fix the issue that I had. So this is Imperial Leather. I use this for showering, and since I started using this, kind of disappeared. Also, the same soap, which is starting with a G, there is one of the products which is actually very, very good, which doesn't give you that, the one that is made up of charcoal. Yeah, that one is actually very, very nice. But I like this one. It's been with me since forever. And the fact that this one, just a single piece, can take you for several months. Anyway, not an advert. I would want them to sponsor the channel. I wouldn't mind, because I like what they offer. Number 3, which is quite simple. This is masking the smell by using a scent which is stronger than whatever is coming out of your armpits. And this is a deodorant. You use something stronger to mask it. Sometimes they can even add something like an acid or alcohol to inhibit the action of the bacteria, to keep the action going on for longer. So we have deodorants, which is a little bit, let's say, opposite of antiperspirants. Antiperspirants will prevent you from sweating. Deodorants will just mask the smell and not interfere as much with your sweating, but it can also interfere with the bacteria activity. This is where they add something like acids, they add something like alcohol. So yeah, it's short-lived though. I hope that was fun. You learned something. If you did, give us a thumbs up, and also maybe you can type something there in the comment region. And you'll be interested in another video that I did on trying to lose weight using rice water and lemon. And also I have an update for the same that will be coming later on, so make sure you're subscribed. You can watch this video about rice water and lemon.